Hi everyone, for today's recipe we're going to make an old favourite of ours, which is fish pie. So I'm going to show you what you need in order to make it, and then we'll crack on with making it. So we're going to need some fish, obviously, and I've got here about 250 grams each of some white fish and 250 grams of some smoked fish. Now I'm using haddock, so haddock and smoked haddock. You could use cod, you could use cod and salmon perhaps. You can use whatever fish you like, but it's nice to have two different types so that the flavours are, you've got two different flavours going on in there. And the other things that we're going to need to make the pie, we're going to need some onions. Now either one medium-sized onion, or in my case I've got two small onions cut into 4 pieces, so either quarters if it's a bigger onion or halves if it's a smaller one. Some cloves. This is a spice that is actually a flower bud, these I'm going to use to flavour the sauce, along with 2 bay leaves. And we're also going to put some eggs in, some boiled eggs. A traditional fish pie has boiled eggs in, would you believe? I've got 3 hard boiled eggs. And then we've got some plain flour and some butter and some milk to make the sauce. I'm using oat milk today, but you can use ordinary cow's milk if that's what you normally have. So those are the ingredients. Now I've also already boiled up some potatoes to make the mash to go on the top, so you'll need to do that too. So if you've got the potatoes ready, we can crack on and make the filling. Okay, so first of all we're going to prepare the onions. Now I'm going to press a clove, and they're quite handy because they've got a little pointy bit on the end. I'm going to put that into the onion and pop that in my pan. There we go. So 4 pieces of onion, whether it's halves or quarters, it really doesn't matter. In they go, in the pan. And then I'm going to put in the bay leaves, and in here then we'll put the fish. Okay, so we're just going to place the fish in here, and then I will pour on milk. There we go. And we're going to pour on, it can be about a pint of milk, and this is basically going to poach the fish. So we pour that on, make sure the fish is all covered, and then I'm going to put it on a low heat, and we're going to sort of heat it up, but not bring it to a fast boil. We really need to simmer the we really need to simmer it. So we'll have a little bit more milk. It's not totally don't have to measure it exactly. So I'm going to leave that on there till it heats up and comes to a simmering point, and it will take about 8 minutes roughly to get the fish to the state I need it to put in the pie. So that's about 8 minutes, and so what I'm going to do now is just get the fish out and have it on this plate. And all the onions and the cloves and the bay leaves will have helped to season the poaching milk, which will then go on to make the sauce that will go in the pie. Of course. So there we have all the fish out. So now I'm going to strain the liquid into this jug. Now I've got this little strainer on top of the jug, but if you don't have a jug like that, then all you need to do is use a sieve or something like that. So next I'm going to make the white sauce that goes with the fish. So I'll put some butter into a saucepan, and this is about 2 ounces. And I just need this on a low heat until the butter has melted. We only want it to just melt. We don't want it to boil or anything like that, because we don't want it to split. We just want nice melted butter. And then when that's melted, I'm going to add some plain flour to make what we call a roux, which is the basis for thickening a white sauce or a bechamel sauce, and that's what we're going to be making. So about 2 ounces of butter, about the same maybe of flour. It's important when you add the flour to just keep beating so that A, you don't get any lumps in it, and B, that the flour cooks through, because you don't want raw flour in your sauce. You want it all to be cooked through. So that's all melted now. I'm going to put in the flour and just mix it all in, and it should make a thick paste, which I can then add the milk back into, and that will make the basis of the sauce for the fish pie. So I think you can see it's coming together now. I don't want the sauce to be too thick, but obviously we need it to be a certain amount of thickness. There we are. So this flour and butter mixture has cooked through now. I'm going to add in the milk. This is the milk, and I've topped it up to make it about a pint. I'm just going to add that in, and the important thing is to keep stirring, and if it does start to look a bit lumpy, then all you need is a little whisk, and just whisk away, and then you should have a nice smooth white sauce that we can put with the fish. So the sauce is starting to thicken. As you can see, it will start to come to the boil, and we just want it to just come to the boil and just simmer gently for a minute or so. I think you can see how much thicker it is now. That's a really good consistency for putting in our fish pie. I'm going to add some flavourings to it. I'm going to add some parsley, some chopped parsley, which I've got in the freezer, because if you buy parsley and chop it yourself, you can freeze it, and then you've always got some to use when you need it. And I'm going to put a little bit of nutmeg in there as well, just to give it a bit of a flavour. So I've added some chopped parsley into the sauce, and now I'm going to put in some nutmeg, and I use the whole nutmeg that you have to grate. Oh dear, dropped it in. I'm always doing that. Let's give it a wipe. Whoops, no, it's not the idea to drop it in, but we'll just grate a bit in. Gives it a nice flavour. It's quite good for all milk sauces. There we go. So we mix it round. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. There we go. And then I'll just give it a taste, because it's always a good idea to taste the sauces before you serve them. That's good. Just right, perfect. Okay, so now we can assemble our pie. And I need an oven-proof dish. This is the one I'm going to use. And then I need to put the fish in. Now, the thing with the fish is it needs to be broken up into small pieces. So we're just going to just break it up a little bit and spread it all over the dish. There we go, plenty of fish in there. Very nice. And then we can add the eggs. There we go, how's that? So just spread it all throughout the dish, so we've got the two different types of fish all well mixed up. And then I've got the eggs here, which I've cut into quarters like this, so we're going to just place those in. And they do add that extra dimension to your fish pie. There we go. Make sure everyone gets a bit of egg. There we are. And then I just need to put the sauce on, so I'm just going to spoon the sauce over and make sure I cover all the fish and the eggs with the sauce. And then finally we're going to top it with mashed potato that we've already made. So when you make your mashed potato to put on the top of the fish pie, make sure it's quite firm mash, not too sloppy, because you want it to actually cover the pie and not go all over the place. So just a little bit more. I'm just going to make sure that that is everywhere. There we go. That's a little bit. And then I've got my mash here, which I am going to then spoon onto my fish, making sure that we cover everything. Okay, so I've just covered the whole pie with the mash, and I'm just going to make a bit of a pattern on the top with the fork, just make sure it's all covered. There we go. And then finally I'm going to grate some cheese on the top, give it a nice cheesy topping, and then this can go in the oven to bake it off, and then we can serve it with some veg. So it's a bit like a cottage pie but with fish. And of course fish is really good nutritious food, very good source of protein. And there we have it. So here we have our fish pie ready to go in the oven, and this will go in at gas mark 6 or 200 degrees for about 25 minutes, but just check that it's all nicely browned on the top, and obviously everything else is already cooked, so it doesn't really need much cooking.
Go.
So our fish pie is now ready to come out of the oven. Oh, here it is. Look at that. Delicious. So then all it needs now is to serve it. Got some veg here to go with it. Some carrots and peas. Very nice. There we go. And a nice helping of fish pie. There we have it.